Rip carried the keg of ale over a kind of path that only the best backwoodsman could follow. And by this time, a lone black crow had joined them. He kept a respectful distance from Wolf, and every time that Rip tried to stop for a rest, the crow just kept squawking the same thing.
Too bad! Too bad! Too bad!
They hadn't gone much further when Rip began to hear a low rumble, almost like thunder. But there wasn't a cloud to be seen. Suddenly, they burst into a large circular clearing set like a pocket within towering trees. And there, Rip saw the strangest sight of his life. It was a whole group of little men playing ninepins, 4 or 5 games going on at the same time. And every time the ball hit the pins, a thunderous roar shook the area. As Rip approached the group, they all suddenly stopped. If anything, these men were stranger than Rip's guide, whose name, it turned out, was Arnold. They all wore long knives and had big black belts strapped to their waists. They all waited for Rip and Arnold and Wolf to join them. And when they did, one of them spoke up.
So, where have you been? First day on the job and already he's late. What am I going to tell your Uncle Murray?
This little man looked the same as the others, except for one small point. In place of a big black hat, he wore a tiny white hat with an orange feather in it. Since it was shaped like an ice cream cone, Rip couldn't help wondering how he kept it on. His name, naturally enough, was Fred.
Murray Schmurray, you can say I've been to Atlantic City to take the cure for all I care. I'm only working here for the summer season anyway. Plus, look at the kind of help I have to put up with.
Too bad! Too bad! Too bad!
One more word out of you and I'll teach you what taxidermy means. Really, Fred, look at this klutz. He couldn't think and comb his hair at the same time.
I see what you mean. What's your name, anyway?
Rip Van Winkle.
Rip Van Winkle. Oh, it's funny, but you don't look rippish. Anyway, so it shouldn't be a total loss. Open up that keg of ale and we'll get better acquainted. So, have you seen a picture of my daughter Velma? No? Here, I have one in my wallet. Lovely, isn't she? And such a good personality.
Well, Rip had very little to say about Fred's daughter, Velma. Unfortunately to Rip, well, Velma looked like a fire plug with feet. The conversation died quickly. Fred went back to his game, and Rip was left alone with the ale. Well, being naturally friendly, he knew it was bad manners to refuse hospitality. So he refilled his glass many times. Wolf looked very disapprovingly at him and kept pulling at his shirt tails. But it was too late. Rip took one drink too many. His ears began to ring from the crash of the pins, and his eyes began to swim in his head. It was all he could do to find a tree and sit down with his back to it. And soon his head dropped down, his eyes closed, and he was asleep.